Recently, somebody criticized your man Wale, specifically his style of dress, as if he's too old for his fashion sense to be rooted in streetwear. Wale is 41 years old, and this brings up an interesting question. Who decides what 40 gets to look like? My name is Armond WakeUp, and this is a Kairos Moment, centered in model ministry. Yo, aging is such a strange experience. From the outside, it looks one way, but then as it's happening, it's completely different. When you're a kid, you can't wait to be a teenager. When you're a teenager, you can't wait to be in your 20s. But then when you're in your 20s, you're afraid to turn 30. You feel like 30 is old. Then you turn 30, and you feel like turning 40 is old. Now, as you get older, there are instances where you feel older. Let's say you have a niece or a nephew that hits a life milestone. They go to prom, they're graduating high school or college, they're getting married, starting a family. That makes you feel old. One of my favorite albums of all time is Nas's It Was Written, and it's celebrating its 30th anniversary. That makes you feel old. My knees be talking to me. You hear bones pop when you get out of bed. You gotta be mindful of your diet because that food sits on your body differently. You can't play sports the way that you used to. That makes you feel old. However, when I assess what 40 looks like on me and what it looks like on the people around me, and I compare it to what 40 looked like for previous generations, there is a gap. You look at previous generations of 40-year-olds, and they just look older. It definitely shows up in their style of dress. They're more likely to wear a suit, hard bottoms, polo shirts. It's also in how they style their hair, and ultimately what they've told themselves they can no longer do because they are at a certain age. Gen X is the first hip-hop generation. However, they knew what life was like before hip-hop. As an elder millennial, I don't know a life without hip-hop culture. I was exposed to it at a very young age. I was 3 or 4 years old watching LL Cool J in the I'm Bad video. It was nothing like it. And from there, it's Will Smith as a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air wearing Jordans on national TV. It's Michigan's Fab Five, UNLV running Rebels in sports. Those things, beyond shaping our taste, it shaped us. And I just believe that you don't necessarily grow out of your foundation. So in this example of someone pushing back on Wale's sense of style, I think much of it comes with maturity being associated with age, and that having a dress code. Some people would say that that's putting away childish things, but to me that comes off as performance. Because I can show up in sneakers and shorts and still be excellent. Or I could show up in a suit and be on trash. I'm not saying that suits don't communicate something, because they do. But streetwear communicates something too. And what it doesn't communicate to me is immaturity. I feel like something like turning 40 is all in how you carry it. Just because you're maturing, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to erase. And in maturing, you have to adapt. But to adapt doesn't necessarily mean to abandon. But I think this is something that my generation uniquely understands. Our entire lifetime has been full of unprecedented times. Oh my God. The birth of the internet, 9/11, a recession, a pandemic, whatever the hell is going on now. We were built for adaptation. And so our version of adulthood just looks different. Most people assume that maturity requires replacement. Replace your interests, replace your hobbies, and ultimately replace your identity. You have to strip all these layers of yourself and ultimately become something you're not. I am of the belief that true maturity is refinement, keeping the core of who you are, and you sharpen it. You learn what to carry forward and what to leave behind. And that core is rooted. It's not stuck, it's rooted. I want to emphasize that. That is something I feel like we are all trying to become. So because this generation has been fortified in adaptation, I see younger people say, people in their 40s look good. And I'm like, of course we do. I haven't really heard anybody say this either. I feel like hip hop is the first generation that bridged a generational gap. So what I mean is, look at every generation before us. I think of jazz. I think of rock and roll. The music was always a dividing line. And what your parents listened to was not at all what you listened to. My dad listened to hip hop when I was younger. Straight Outta Compton is one of the first albums that he and I listened to together. I was maybe 5 years old. And for the time, that was not normal. But now moving forward, that is normal. Hip hop made it easier to stay connected, and it makes it easier for us to engage with younger generations. So when somebody tells me that I need to dress my age, I think about the thing that they want me to leave behind and how heavy of an influence it was on my life. This is also the same thing that helps me to connect with my children. But the critique of Wale's style, it's like a policing that goes on where people get to decide what's important and what's not. And they're usually protecting some sort of framework because a lot of us at some point, we toned ourselves down. Even if we didn't want to, we felt like we were supposed to. And when you get around people who did not do that, it exposes a compliance that many people likely resisted. Again, I'm not saying that things shouldn't change and evolve, but I believe you can be mature and also fully yourself at the same time. So here's the question I want to leave you with. Why did previous generations feel like they had to stop being themselves as they got older? And who said you had to? Now, if this is your kind of conversation, and you want to go deeper, come join the Kairos community on Patreon. As a certified wellness coach, I lead exercises for my community to help people find themselves in these types of scenarios. And if you're looking for a safe space to process life, the Kairos community is for you.